Hello, everyone. In this video, we're going to talk all about government outlays. So outlays in the US government can be divided into three groups. We have mandatory, discretionary, and then interest payments. In the next few slides, we'll talk more about mandatory and discretionary outlays. Mandatory outlays are comprised of government spending that's determined by ongoing government programs. These are also called entitlement programs. Regardless of what's going on, these cannot be altered during the budget process, and altering them does require long-run changes to existing laws. Some good examples of mandatory outlays are Social Security and Medicare. These are about 64% of all government outlays. In order to change mandatory outlays, it literally takes an act of Congress, which is going to be a law change overall. Now, discretionary outlays comprise of spending that is adjustable during the annual budgeting process. This is things like your bridges, roads, payments to government workers, and defense spending. And this is about 29% of all government outlays. Now, a lot of times these terms are kind of similar to individual expenditures. So things that we spend on entertainment, hobbies, and groceries. So yes, we have to eat, but we do have flexibility in our spending choices depending on what's going on with our current money situation. So you can think of discretionary outlays as being very similar to individual discretionary spending. This slide shows you the 2017 US government outlays. So while national defense spending grabs a lot of headlines, Social Security outlays are 2/3 higher than that of national defense. And this is an interesting trend. A lot of the rise in Social Security spending can be attributed to changing demographics. So as the country ages and baby boomers start to retire, there's more concerns on huge spending increases that are arising in that particular outlay. The same spending concerns are relevant with Medicare as our society ages. Many people are also concerned about interest paid on debts. Students might wonder why that's a concern because it is the smallest category of US debt, but there is an opportunity cost associated with this type of interest payment. So how many schools and hospitals and other things that would benefit us locally could have been funded with that money? And that's why, even though it is a small portion of spending, only about 7%, it is something that people are very concerned about. Now, many budget debates do involve arguing over discretionary items, but if we include interest payments as obligatory, less than 35% of the overall US budget is discretionary, and the remainder of government spending goes toward those mandatory outlays, and there isn't really a lot of wiggle room there. This slide is figure 15.2 from your book, and it plots the US federal budget and categories of that budget as portions of total outlays for the years 1970 to 2017. Our orange shaded categories are mandatory spending, and 50 years ago, mandatory spending was about 1/3 of the US federal budget. Now, just Social Security and Medicare together account for more than 40% of that US federal budget, and this is up from only about 16% back in 1970. Now, the cause of this growth in mandatory spending is largely political, as more programs have been added. So Medicare was added in 1966, and then it was expanded in 2006. But also, changes in demographics have contributed as more and more US citizens are now qualifying for those old age benefits. We're going to go ahead and wrap this video up with a practice what you know question. So which of the following is part of a mandatory outlay? And the correct answer here is Social Security. Out of the items listed, Social Security changes to it would literally require an act of Congress, so it is considered a mandatory outlay. Thank you, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk with you in the next one.